Hey, Drinking Brothers, Books and Authors, Junior Michael Ray. Hey, thanks for all the cool emails and stuff like that. And you know, my information and recommendations are not to offend anybody. I just choose to do this for a living. And so, you know, like I said, if I don't have the answer, I can find it for you. I just know that I've stubbed my toes quite a bit, but I've been able to be successful. So there were 4 questions that I'm going to try to get to really quick. Was the query letter situation when you're trying to get published. And the one thing that I will tell people, you will get paid up front. If somebody's offering to publish your stuff and not give you some type of signing bonus, look at your distribution situation. Technology is changing. My first success was a hardback. I don't think I'll ever go hardback ever again. So look at your situation. And when it comes to writing a query letter, if you do your research on the internet, a lot of times that research that you're doing is coming from publishers, and they don't ever recommend multiple queries. I will tell you that the first successful book that I had published where I got full-on paid, and this wasn't the first 2 that I wrote ghostwriting, which we'll talk a little bit about that. That was a great experience. It was a learning experience, but you got to understand, I'll just say this right now, ghostwriting, when you do a project and you create a property, that's a one-time buyout. There is no royalties, there's no payment down the road. If it does very well, that's it. It is what it is what it is. But with the query letter, I believe that, you know, you can do a multiple query. Some publishers will, you know, when they contact you back, they'll say, hey, you know, do you have this queried with another publisher? And you know, that's to your discretion. You're trying to make a living. You know, you're trying to get your work out there and get paid to do what you do. I believe in throwing as many lines out in the water as possible. So with that being said, there's a lot of ways to write query letters. It's kind of like your cover letter with a resume. You want to try to make it very specific for the publisher in which you're going for. And the biggest thing that I can tell you is protect your work. You've got to copyright your work. And it's not like the old days where you could take a copy of it and put it in a sealed envelope and send it to yourself, certified mail, or send it on a CD or a hard drive or something like that, and send it to yourself and leave it in that sealed envelope. That's not good enough anymore. And there's been a lot of cases where that didn't show up in court. And there's nothing more heartbreaking, because I've had this happen, and this is why I'm so stressful about it. Protect your work. Get it copywritten. It's only $35-$40. No matter what situation you do, get your stuff protected. Even so much as before you go, if you're kind of still go your own route, and you're really going down that road, before you take it to your first private editor. I mean, if you're an author that thinks that you're so good that you're gonna just do all your own editing and send it out there, it ain't gonna work. You know, you got to be willing to put in the time and have those outside eyes proofread it, and you know, so protect your work. If you have any more questions about query letters, I can maybe put some links. I can give you some email links or something like that, but there's not a whole lot when it comes to that. When it comes to finding a literary agent, hey, once you're at that level, hey man, cool, you know. Okay, so that was 2 of the questions. The other question was, well, what if I want to make my book into a film? What I recommend everybody, when you're starting to write your work, make sure that no matter what deal you sign, no matter whatever it is, even in your copywritten, because you'll send a copywritten manuscript online, a lot of times you copyright it, on the first page, put I so-and-so own all film rights to thereof. There's some generic legal formats that you can get on the internet. You want to own everything. Don't ever sell your movie rights, your publishing rights, or distribution rights. Don't ever get rid of those, because those are yours. That's your retirement fund. So when it comes to that, you know, the film business is a whole different ball game. We could spend hours upon hours upon hours with that, and I can tell you my frustration with it. I've probably got 15 properties out there, and I've been successful with 3. You know, so it is constantly. Don't be afraid to beat your head against the door. Don't be afraid to be told no. Like I told you guys earlier, my first real success, I was told no like 200 times, and ended up being picked up by the first publisher that told me no. So I mean, there's you know, it's if this is truly what you want to do for a living, and this is all you want to do, which is extremely hard, you know, it's the entertainment business. Okay, so on some writing stuff, let's see here. The question I was asked is, what is the biggest mistake that new authors make? Redundancy. and I made this problem too. My first novel was like 550 pages. When it was finally tailored down and really looked over, and you chewed a lot of the fat, you tend, as a new author, you want to overanalyze and give your audience too much. Your audience isn't ignorant. Give them something to put up in their head. So less is more. That's probably the biggest mistake that, because I've been a script doctor now for 10 years, and that's the biggest mistake that new authors make, and I make it myself. I even still do it to this day. You kind of have a tendency of over wanting your audience to get something, so you over develop it. If it's good on one page, why make it 4? You want that speed, that tempo of your novel to consistently keep going. One thing that was told to me, and I don't necessarily know if this is true or not, but it is, if you go more than 2 pages without dialogue, you're going to lose your audience, and people will start skipping pages. And one of my account managers told me, and this is something you have to keep in mind, books, 68 to 73% of books are bought by women. So if your story doesn't have something that's going to appeal to the ladies, you may not do very well. Like I said, I do it for a living. I don't do it as necessarily I'm like so passionate about what I do. Like I'm so attached to the story. There's a few of them, yes. I just will not. Remember I said, SWAT. When you get in your edit, stay with original text. When you're very passionate about something. But I keep certain things in mind. It's just going to help you market it better. We'll get more into the marketing as we start going through my publishing process, and I'll kind of show you what it is. We're now on our 7th edit, and, nothing's changing. It's more along the lines of, one thing that I have a tendency of doing is I'll use the same word several times on a page, and you really need to avoid that. That's like a little thing that's when you start going through and detailing it, it's those redundancies. And then the other thing that new authors make, and I still make it myself, not necessarily anymore, but people will change voice. Like they'll start off in 3rd person and kind of turn it into, first person, and then they'll kind of fade back and dates will be off. Really, really make sure that you're consistent in how you go through it. The best thing that I can tell people to do is when you finish a manuscript, read back through it one time and then walk away from it for 4 weeks. And then read it out loud to yourself. That's something that's really helped me out in my editing process. So any more questions I can have, we start to work with my marketing team. Very cool. We were able to get some very amazing book art. That's something that somebody else asked me too. We'll get more into that. When it comes to book art, if you get with a publisher, sometimes they kind of cram what they feel is best. That's something I'm very passionate about in the aspect of, I think that the cover sells the book, so I have a tendency of wanting to be involved in it, and hey, but if you have a flop and it was your decision, then you go down with your ship. But I really study the market, and I study what's going on, and because I work in the film business too, that I really am kind of passionate about how I go after the book cover. So that's about it. I got so many questions. I'm going to try to answer everything I have. And like I said, my way is not the way for everybody. It's just, this is 15 years of experience. So give me any type of feedback that you want, any questions, and I don't have all the answers. I have a booking agent now and stuff to that nature. I don't have all the answers, but I know what it's like being that new author, and you're passionate about this piece and you want to sell it, you want people to have it, and you're done with it and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? And that was probably one of the worst parts. It's hard being, that new author, but I can honestly tell you, it's hard being that follow-up author too. And they say once you're into your 3rd, then you start doing very well, and that's just kind of a market. That just seems to be what the market norm is. So, Drinking Brothers, Books and Authors, love it. Thank you guys. I love all the cool feedback, good or bad. Let me know if there's any other questions that you have. I'll get way more into character development because there was something really cool that I had found that I use in my notes that really helps me out. So, thank you, Drinking Brothers.